Namaste, Prashant sir.
Namaste. Namaste.
We start this discourse with a small prayer and tribute to the invocation of Patanjali. Yogena chittasya padena vacha malam sharirasya cha vaidyakena yopakarotam pravaram munina Patanjalim pranjalim ranitosmin Patanjalim pranjalim ranitosmin Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. परमादरणीय श्री प्रशांत अयंगार जी, भारत सरकार के on behalf of Ministry of Ayush Government of India and also on behalf of Morarji Desai National Institute of Yoga, it's my privilege to welcome you heartily for this discourse which is being conducted and as part of the International Day of Yoga celebrations. It's our proud privilege always to listen to you, and Guruji and the whole Iyengar Guruji's family is always with us to promote and help us in the many ways with Ministry of Ayush, especially with our institute. I cherish the memory of teachings of Guruji and also with you, and from last more than 30 to 35 years I have a privilege of associating with the Ramamani Iyengar Memorial Yoga Institutions. Prashant, yes, Iyengarji is the director and head the Ramamani Iyengar Memorial Yoga Institution Pune, which had won the first Prime Minister Yoga Award for outstanding contribution for promotion and development of yoga in the year 2017. Prashant ji is the son of renowned Yogacharya, Padma Vibhushana, Dr. B.K.S. Iyengar ji, popularly known as Guruji. He was exposed to yoga from early childhood and took to yoga in his teens in the late 1960s. He was an erudite scholar of yogic texts and Adhyatmic scriptures. He is a prolific author and has many titles to his name. His command over language and lexical skills makes him an effective communicator. Firmly grounded in the scriptures, he brings a fresh perspective to the philosophy of yoga based on personal experiences from his yoga practice. As a yoga teacher, he is able to view the practical aspects with the philosophy of yoga texts so that his students can assuredly experience the yogic states. Prashant ji, all his time and efforts are dedicated and directed towards yoga education in the subject of yoga and through exploration in asana and pranayama practices. He is also virtuoso violinist, and Master Lord Yehudi Mehanuddin was so impressed with his presentation that he presented him a replica of his Stradivarius violin. I personally know Sri Prashant Iyengarji from many years. I am the true follower of his teachings. He wrote several books. He is a very silent, he has not come to the public, but those who come in contact with his teaching, they ever remember Sri Prashant ji, and he is very, very well established, a teacher who strictly the scriptures and his own personal experience. Now he has the responsibility of taking up the lineage or the traditions, and he is ably guiding the students all over. The Iyengar Yoga family will be enriched by his enriched knowledge and his able mentorship. With these few words, sir, I once again welcome you and request you to discourse today with enlighten all our viewers with your vast knowledge and practical experience in the field of yoga. Shri Prashant Iyengar ji.
Namaste. Thank you very much. First and foremost, my venerations and salutations to this great nation, Bharatavarsha, for having generated timeless culture, ethos, wisdom, religion, philosophy for the making of the man. My revered salutations to the seers and sages of the lore and the saints who appeared in all the eras and have been appearing in all the eras to protect our culture, to protect our ethos. My venerations to all the Bhagavatas. And now, my namaskars to all the devotees of yoga around the world. Ever since yoga was recognized and a yoga day was declared, it's a matter of great pride to we the Indians. It's a great pride for Bharatavarsha, since all the countries of the world have unanimously adored yoga and have advocated the practice of yoga. So it's a matter of great pride to us. And of course, it pumps in a lot of enthusiasm in all the enthusiasts of yoga, practitioners of yoga, teachers of yoga in India in particular and all over the world in general. So of course, it was a great boost for our enthusiasm, and we got a sense of accomplishment the moment the yoga day was declared by the global body, the United Nations. Of course, with that, we all became more and more excited. All the practitioners of yoga became more and more excited. And when there is such an excitement, and when it is such a kind of attainment to the country, attainment to the people of the nation, people of this country, and all the Indians, the proud Indians, it is very possible and probable that we can go overboard in propagating the subject of yoga. But we as practitioners of yoga in India have a greater responsibility, because this land is source of yoga. And we have the ethos and culture which is required for yoga. And therefore, we must first become aware of our responsibilities when we are going to play a lead role in movement of yoga globally. And it is all possible and probable that with our fervor, we can become over-enthusiastic, since our subject of yoga got recognition all over. We can go overboard quite very, very probably, very possibly. So we need some kind of alert here and identify our responsibilities. The yoga has been popular for last nearly 120 years, 150 years, right from the days of Swami Vivekananda. The world was drawn towards yoga, and many masters in the world propagated yoga all over the world, including my father, Yogacharya B.K. Iyengar, and many other yogis. And yoga was presented to the global society. And yoga was propagated and promoted in a kind of consumer package that it is good for health and well-being. The whole world has accepted that yoga is good for human health, all-round health, comprehensive health. As it is fashionable to say, it is physical, mental, spiritual health. That's the comprehensive health. The world has recognized it. Now we don't have to use the same kind of motivating factor. Now we need to induct the world to the classical yoga, the timeless yoga, which is based on eternal values and not transitory values. The entire yoga fraternity proudly uses the name of Patanjali and drawing the lineage to sage Patanjali, Lord Patanjali, who expounded the subject of yoga through his treatise, Patanjali Yoga Sutras. So on one hand, we are trying to claim our lineage to the sages of the Lord, seers of the Lord, including Patanjali Mahamuni. And on the other hand, we are saying that this is good for day-to-day health, it is good for well-being, physical well-being, mental well-being, and it is fashionable to again say spiritual well-being. But now we need to understand and delve deep into Patanjali Yoga Sutras. Nowhere yoga is said to be good for our health. It has greater endowments. Health is an incidental thing, that the health too will come by process of yoga. However, yoga is not for health, physical health and mental health. But physical and mental health is in fact by yoga. So yoga is not for it, and we are still using that as a signature term, signature statement to draw the people towards the subject of yoga. Yoga is for evolving consciousness. Yoga deals with the whole chitta as such, for which there is no English term. Chitta is the whole mind stuff, timeless mind stuff, not just psychological mind, not just psychological mental mind, not just temporal mind, not just the cerebral mind, not the empirical mind, but the whole mind stuff, which is timeless, which is eternal. So Patanjali is dealing with chitta, the chitta samskar, chitta samskruti, culturing of the chitta, and the seasoning of the chitta, rather than the well-being in mundane life for mundanity. So we need to make the world come out of that illusion that yoga is not for just physical, mental health, or as I repeat, physical, mental, spiritual health, but that is going to be an outcome of the process of yoga. So yoga is for a greater purpose. It is to inculcate the values of humanity, eternal values of humanity, and it will be a byproduct what we are advocating that yoga will give the physical, mental well-being here and now in this world. Yoga is not just for us in this world. Yoga will be good for us in all the worlds, in all the times. We will be moving from world to world according to very yogic philosophy. Now, basically Patanjali is a darshana. It is darshana means a system for self-realization. So it is a darshana, a philosophical system, rightly called in Indian tradition as darshana rather than tattva jnana. It is much more than tattva jnana, darshana as well as tattva jnana together. Yoga means modern man today just thinks of a mat, a sportswear, few physical exercises, and give them that name of yogic exercises and carry out some physical exercises for physical well-being and carry out some pranayam for mental well-being and spiritual well-being, etc. But yoga, Patanjali's yoga, encompasses enormous purport of which even the practitioners of our time are not aware of. As to what is Patanjali's treatise, the darshana system of Patanjali encompasses so many subjects. Basically, it is to describe chitta. I might say so that the modern science will perhaps ultimately say how the universe was formed. They might explain the cosmology and they might perhaps give a conclusive kind of theory as to how the universe got unfolded. But our seers and sages and Patanjali and our darshana, our philosophy, divulges why the universe was created. Science will never be able to identify that. It will never be able to divulge why the universe was created. It might perhaps end at just divulging how the universe was created. But philosophy, darshana, Patanjali, and our philosophical systems of Sankhya, Vedanta, and Shaddarshanas, the philosophy of Bhagavad Gita, philosophy of Upanishad, philosophy of Vedanta, divulge why the creation was created as well, and not just how the creation was created. So, it is important to know why the creation is there for us to embark upon Manava Dharma. Manava Dharma is not just a set of norms that we must be compassionate, we must be friendly, etc., etc. We must have no enmity, we must have global fraternity, friendliness, etc. So those are all norms. Those are norms for human beings. But what are the values? Values are much more than that. So values will become realized only when we realize why the universe was there, why the universe was created, why we have this infinite universe around us. So our purpose will be not just circumscribing the human race. That is not justifiable for us to be human beings. We must circumscribe entire creation on the planet, entire creation in the universe. This is the wider view that our philosophy gives, Patanjali also gives. Otherwise, Patanjali, we have very narrow view of it. Ashtanga Yoga, Yama Niyama, Asana, Pranayam, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyan, Samadhi is Patanjali's yoga. That is one aspect of yoga in Patanjali's treatise, and to understand the yogic ethos of yoga, culture of yoga, we must understand all those aspects of metaphysics. Patanjali has basic precepts on metaphysics, basic precepts on metapsychology, not just our empirical psychology, not just our cerebral psychology or mind, but the whole metapsychology, the universal mind, even the mind of creator. We need to understand the mind of creator to understand the why about creation. Patanjali has circumscribed all that. So let us become aware of Patanjali's treatise rather than sticking to a sticky mat and couple of props and then a sportswear and do something, call it yoga, and take the fingers of the nose and do something with the breath, in breath and out breath, and say that it is pranayam. If I may say so, we make a mockery that we take our fingers to the nose and tilt the natural straight nose, tilt it and do the breathing and say it is pranayam. We almost deviate the septum and then say we are doing pranayam. It is mockery. It is mockery indeed. God has given straight nose. Why do you want to tilt the nose? To block your one nose, why are you tilting the nose? So, therefore, we must understand the ethos. We have to see that we Indians must now include the study of entire realm of yoga, the timeless texts which have come to us in the scriptures and the literature from the seers and sages and saints. We are very rich in Adhyatmic literature. What is Adhyatma? A practitioner of yoga also has no idea about it as to what is Adhyatma. Paraji will say spirituality. Spirituality is not Adhyatma. Spirituality is not a right word at all. It's a biblical word. And we don't have souls, we have selves. It is self-realization and not soul realization. Soul is a part of psyche. And the spirituality is something to do with the soul. Whereas our Adhyatma speaks of the self-realization. We are not soul, we don't have soul, we have ourself. This self is eternal self. It is metaphysical entity. So Patanjali speaks about Purusha, speaks about Prakriti. Today the teachers of yoga, propagators of yoga, those who are running the institutions of yoga are not aware of all these concepts which Patanjali has given. Basically, we have such a rich literature. Now our responsibility is to see that all this noble literature, timeless literature, becomes available in our vernacular language, because all practitioners of yoga and all teachers of yoga should become students of the scriptures of the yoga. And therefore, we as Indians, then the government which is behind us, must see that all the various classical texts of yoga are available in vernacular languages. And all the great texts written by acharyas, written by great yogis in last 100, 200, 300 years, all those texts should be available in all the languages. There are certain vernacular texts which are invaluable texts in various regional languages, and other regional languages are not able to get those. So now with such a support, a global support and government support, and we as individuals must see that all these texts are translated for common man to understand, and therefore we must become students of yoga. Now, as I said, we have fervor to propagate yoga, and therefore we are putting foots on a wrong path. We want to turn out teachers. We want to turn out teachers of yoga to propagate yoga, for yoga to go to nook and corner of the world. So this will be an instant process, and it is going to work like all the instant food. We must see that we encourage students of yoga. We should encourage the studentship in yoga. And we don't have to create universities, because if we create institutionalize, then again lots of problems come in institutionalization. I will just give you a last example here, where our tradition made a great blunder 5,000 years ago. In Mahabharata, the Kuru, the royalties of Kuru Vangsha brought Dronacharya and started a royal institution of archery, royal institution of warfare. And then nationalized. Then Dronacharya became a servant of the government. His ashram became servant of the government. So he created an institution which was nationalized. And that was a big blunder done 5,000 years ago by our tradition. And this was really divulged by the acharyas, the great people, that it was not right to start a royal institution of warfare, which Dronacharya did for Hastinapur. So I don't want government to be creating an institution for it, or even something like university, etc. We know what happens to universities these days. So each institution in various, we have thousands and thousands of institutions, ashramas, or acharyas teaching in their own sphere. Now they should be encouraged to turn out students rather than turn out teachers. We already see that there are already certifications and diplomas to turn out teachers. In long run, it is going to be a big mistake and big blunder. Let's turn out students. That's the way to go about. Let's turn out students of yoga. Teachers will turn out in 2-3 generations. But if we embark upon turning out teachers today, it will be all quackery. And quackery will have to pay very, very richly, expensively for the whole humanity. And that is not a good thing, which is tending to happen in our enthusiasm to propagate yoga. Let's propagate yoga to turn out studentship. Let us make available the texts of yoga of all levels in all languages. Enormous texts are there. They are restricted to some languages, regional languages. Like Gulab Rao Maharaj wrote almost a classical text in 1930s, not too far ago. It is not available in various languages. It is only available in Marathi. He was a follower of Dhaneshwar Maharaj, great yogi. But nobody knows about his text, which is called Yoga Prabhava, which is only in Marathi. And also it is not available now. It's out of print even. So these we people have to come together to bring this to light. All the text should be available in all languages. Let us turn out students. Students will be humble. Teachers will never be humble. Let us not turn out unhumble, non-humble teachers. They will spoil yoga. Let us turn out humble students. That's our responsibility. We have to take a lead role to propagate yoga, classical yoga, not fashionable yoga, not consumer yoga. Let us not package it for the global appeal. The whole world is aware now. It's good for health. We don't have to convince them. It's good for our physical, mental, or spiritual health. We don't have to convince them. Let's try to bring to light the great wisdom of the Lord, Gospels, saints, sages. They have written so much. Let's bring it to light. That's our responsibility, to turn out good students. Let's encourage studentship, not teachership, so that we will not be on wrong footings. With that, I end my few words. Thank you very much. Namaskar.
Thank you very much, Prashant sir, for your enlightening talk. I gathered two important points. One is I do agree that we have to make all the text in different languages.
Yeah.
So not only in Sanskrit, but we have many Indian languages. I know in Marathi,
true.
and Marathi, Kannada, and in Gujarati, Bengali. We have very, very rich text from last 2,000-3,000, not only in the present one. So I
globally recognized Guruji's book is not available in Indian languages.
Indian language.
Few languages.
Only few languages.
Not available.
Yes. So like that's a big task, and definitely we'll plan from Ministry of Ayush. So how we can make it make them available. This is one thing, and most importantly, you draw a line on the studentship. So that's a very, very underlying remark you made it, and we have to concentrate more on students than the teachers. That's a very, very you have a rich experience, and definitely it is a very, very path-breaking statement that we have to encourage the studentship than the teachership. So that
will turn out humble clan rather than non-humble, perhaps arrogant clan. Being teachers.
Yes, teacher must be first student, then throughout. Then only he can teach, otherwise he cannot. That humbleness is a quack. So that Guruji also taught that, and I'm really delighted because not only I'm the student of the Iyengar Guruji and the whole family, and he is a father figure for me, and he guided me and motivated me. And he blessed me, and the same thing continuing from your side also. You are a great teacher. So I am reading your books and following your teachings, and we are adopting in our institute, and we are promoting Guruji's teachings as maximum as possible to the world community. And this is a yajna for all of us, and we all join, and definitely will take your scholarly words and to realize it.
Not scholarly, I am a student of the subject.
Yes, for us, you are a scholarly person, and no doubt about it. You are so humble and very inclined, sir. With these few words and many more such type of books where I am expecting from you, and I think so. Now the personal one remark after Gita ji and Guruji, and you have a lot of responsibility, and we are all with you, and we want to take that Guruji's teachings and your teachings to the new heights. So anything from our institute or from Ministry of Ayush, we are there, and always be with us and guide us. So with these things, we
can work together. Let's all work together. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Namaste. Namaste. Thank you very much. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद सर।